Hey everyone, good news. I just heard from our engineering team that RightAsk is officially live on our team accounts. This will be live in a few days on your account, but I wanted to give you almost like an unboxing of RightAsk. So haven't really used it yet. I've been there seeing in Slack and in our meetings the development of it, but now that it's live, I want to show you me setting it up on my other website, doubleyourfreelancing.com, and I want to give you an idea of ideally how easy it is to get set up, but also what I'm using it for and so on. So when you first log into your RightMessage account, you're now going to see RightAsk as a menu item. And the empty slate screen is going to say, why don't you add your first question? So I'm going to click that. All right, so these are the different segment groups that I've already defined. So within RightMessage, I'm already tracking what kind of business somebody runs, their team size, income, and all these different things. I'm going to click business type as the first question. Cool. All right, so this is now, what it's done is it's pulled in all the different segments within that business type, or within that segment group, I should say. So what kind of work do you do? And you'll notice in real time it updates on the right. So say web and software development, design, marketing, writing, business consulting. So what I'm doing is I track, the labels I use internally are designer, developer, and so on. But I'm changing the user-facing way we describe that to make it more sensible for the answer that we're asking, or the question that we're asking. Okay, so we have the option to randomize the answers. I'm not going to do that because I always want other to be at the end. So I'm going to add a new question now that is tied to team size. So how big is your company? So again, these are all segments I've already created, but you could create new segments on the fly if you don't already have them set up. So it's just me. I think I'll keep agency as is. That makes sense. And then I haven't started yet. Cool. So now I have two different questions that I'm asking people, depending on data that I already have, or data that I want to collect that will help me better personalize the emails they get from me along with the website. Now, what's really nice about this is if I already know what kind of work they do. So let's say they've joined my email course and the question I ask is, what kind of work do you do? If they told me this, they're never going to see this question. And this is really big because there's no point in asking a question that you already know the answer to. So what this will do is it will progressively profile people with only the data points that you don't have answers to yet. And then when we get that data, when they click on one of these options, if they're already on our list and we know something about them, it's going to sync this data back up. So it will set it, we use drip here. So this will set a custom field called business type to designer. They click on design. Or marketer, if they click on marketing, and so on. Same thing here, it'll set the team size custom field to solo, agency, or not started. So we're going to be storing this information in our backend, in our drip contact database. But if they're not on our list just yet, we'll remember all this data and not ask them questions we already know the answers to. And then once they do opt in or convert, we'll then sync this data back up. So we can develop a profile about who somebody is before they're even on your list. And then once they do somehow get on your list, whether it be through a newsletter opt-in or buying something from you or whatever else, we'll sync that data up. Okay. Next option is, how do I want to style my widgets? I can change the button colors, button text, and so on. The placement, bottom right, bottom left. I have it set. The default is after scrolling 30%. That's fine. When do we want to trigger the showing of it? So scrolling 30% is fine. Okay, so what devices do we want to show this on? Let's show it on everything. Why not? Show on every page view or prompt once per session. I'm going to do it on every page view, but then I'm going to, once they answer a question, I'm not going to ask them another one until they come back for a future session. So I could have the option of asking them, questions until I know everything, until there's no more questions to ask. But I want to make it so as I send my list back to the website through the newsletter that I send with new articles, ideally a percentage of them every time they click over will answer one of these questions, and then that will further enrich my drip database, pretty much every time I send out a newsletter to the list. All right, so if they click one of these, I want it to just say thanks. That's fine. And then we have a why are we asking this little helper link, which will have a pop-up saying the default is this will help us better personalize the experience you have on our website. I'm going to hide RightAsk on the cart and the checkout pages. Last thing I want is somebody getting distracted when they're going to buy. And that's it. I'm going to publish it. So now this is published. And what I want to do, though, is I want to show you something real quick that will be useful for the next thing I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go to my website in a second and choose one of these options. But I want to show you how we change things or how I change things based off what kind of business you run. So you'll notice here, we're changing a few things for developers. We're saying the default is freelancing articles and in-depth guides. Our focus at W Freelancing is to help freelancers, blah, 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 start a freelancing business and so on. If they're a developer, articles and in-depth guides for freelance developers to help freelance developers like you start a freelance programming business, designer, start a freelance design business. Really what we're doing is we're just making it so the whole website, in this case, this topics page, becomes a little more niche, becomes a little more specific to them. This might mean even changing maybe the featured things. So if I had an article about, how to start a design agency or something, a design business, I might feature that here instead of, the articles I'm featuring currently. I might change different things on my products overview page, best courses for designers or design freelancers or whatever else. Really, the idea is I know how effective niching is, so I want to effectively niche on the fly for everyone who visits, and RightAsk is an instrumental way now of helping me learn about people in a very, very nice, unobtrusive way. So we've seen examples like this where we're changing content based off of, in this case, the industry they're in, business type, team size, job role. So are they a marketer, maybe a technical person on the team, maybe the executive, or something like that. Depending on somebody's role, somebody's industry, maybe what they want from you. So, hey, welcome to W Freelancing. What do you need the most help with? I need help with, I'm looking for courses. I'm looking for a community. I'm looking for one-on-one coaching. Depending on which one they choose, we can then segment off that and change things like navigation elements, primary call to actions, and so on based on what they've told us. So, all right, so I've done this already. So now if I go over to, this is the live site, you'll notice freelancing articles and in-depth guides, start a freelancing business, and so on. I'm going to reload now. So I'm anonymous. I don't have any, I'm not on, I'm not identified, meaning this web browser doesn't know who I am. So I'm fully anonymous, so it's not going to store anything in Drip. But if I go down the page a bit, there it is. So there it's asking me what kind of work do you do? Web and software development, design, marketing, and so on. I'm going to choose design. It says thanks, cool. And now it doesn't change anything in real time. But let's say I were to come back to this page later. It's going to say articles and in-depth guides for freelance designers. Now you notice there was a bit of a flash, a bit of a delay. That's because I haven't yet put the RightMessage class, CSS class, on this page. Once that's there, that flash won't happen. But effectively what RightMessage is doing is it's swapping out content. So if the original content loads and then it says, hey, this is a designer, now change it to this, there's going to be a noticeable kind of flash. But with our CSS class, which again, I haven't applied yet, the end user won't see that. But this is cool because now, remember, it asked me, what do? I said design, and that could be on any page. I could have been reading a blog post and I said design. Now I'm over in the topics page and I'm going to see language for designers, start a freelance design business, and so on. This is really, really powerful because, again, I'm now seeing in real time an immediate effect based on what I've just told. I'm a designer. But if I were to convert, let's say I opt into the list right now, it's going to sync that data up to Drip. It's going to say business type equals designer. And then later on, if I tell it I'm an agency, it's going to say team size equals agency. So that's really nice because we have the ability to then personalize the emails we send and better segment the emails we send, along with making it so when they're on a sales page, they're seeing language about agencies, about design. They're seeing social proof maybe from other designers. They're seeing they're seeing a very niche way of presenting, of promoting a product or service. Again, that effectively lets you just niche the whole site on the fly. Last thing I want to show you real quick is if we go over to the RightAsk dashboard now, we're going to see high-level stats about how people are engaging with RightAsk. So you're going to be able to see how many times has RightAsk has been displayed, how many answers have we collected, and what percentage of people convert or click an answer. And we're going to break that down by the data that the answers that have been collected. So how many are designers, how many are marketers, and so on. Now, to be honest, we're not the only tool that does these on-site surveys that give you data like this, but we are the only tool that takes it a step further and says, hey, this person, this individual, Brennan Dunn, just said he's a designer in an agency. So in the record we have on him in our email marketing app, we're gonna store this data so that when he comes back, when Brennan comes back, we're gonna be talking design, we're gonna be talking agency stuff. And then when Sarah comes over a second later and she's a developer and she's a solo business, a solo freelancer, we're going to speak to her as a developer. We're going to show her social proof from other people like her and just make it really, really fitting for what Sarah needs. So I think RightAsk is going to be huge. This is the most excited I've been in a while for any of the new tools we've launched on top of RightMessage. But hopefully by now you can see exactly what power and what potential something like this has. Because I know a lot of us haven't really segmented the way we want to segment. And this is going to allow you to really quickly, within a few minutes, set up on-site surveys that will progressively profile your visitors, both new and returning, and then enrich your contact database so that you can better tell them how you can help them, and then they're going to have a better experience engaging with you because they're going to get relevant emails that are specific to people like them. They're going to get language that is specific to people like them, examples, case studies, and so on. So this should be rolled out within a few days to all RightMessage account owners. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with this. But I really do think once this is up, I think this is going to be kind of a big turning point for the way that you go about segmenting and personalizing to your audience.